All right, so we're diving into the Oscars this time, and more specifically Fernanda Torres and her chances in the 2025 race. We've got two articles from Chipu, that's a Brazilian entertainment website, and they're both focused on her performance in Ainda Estou Aqui, or Still I'm Here for us English speakers. We're going to unpack the significance of the SAG Awards, or the lack thereof. We'll also look at her Golden Globe win, and really try to understand what makes this film and Fernanda Torres' performance so buzzworthy.
Well, the SAG Awards are interesting because they're usually a pretty good indicator of who will get an Oscar nomination. But that hasn't always been the case, especially for international actors.
Right, Fernanda Torres actually missed out on the SAG nomination for Best Actress, which had some people worried.
Yeah, but if you think back to the case of Sandra Hiller, she was nominated for an Oscar for Anatomy of a Fall, but she didn't even get a SAG nomination, so it's not necessarily a deal breaker.
True, but winning an Oscar without a SAG nomination, that's a whole other story.
You're absolutely right. It's definitely not the norm. But hey, let's not forget that Torres won a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Drama.
That's a huge deal. That's got to be a major stepping stone towards the Oscars.
Oh, absolutely. The Golden Globes mean a lot, and they can really have an impact on how the Academy voters think about a particular performance.
Okay, so we've got the awards buzz, but what about the film itself? Ainda Estou Aqui takes place in 1971 Brazil during the military dictatorship, and it follows Unique Paiva, a mother of 5 whose husband is abducted by the military police, and as she searches for her husband, she becomes an activist.
And that's actually what makes the film so powerful. It goes way beyond just a fictional story.
Wow.
Because it's actually based on the memoirs of Marcelo Rubens Paiva, and the story is about his own mother, so Torres is playing a real person who went through these struggles, and I think that really adds another layer of emotional weight to her performance.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly powerful. And then on top of that, you have Walter Salles directing. You might know him from Central do Brasil, which was another critically acclaimed film. And get this, it starred Fernanda Montenegro, who also appears in Ainda Estou Aqui.
Wow. It's fascinating how all these connections come together. Salles is really known for tackling these complex social issues, and to have Montenegro, who's basically a legend in Brazilian cinema, it adds so much weight and significance to the film.
Yeah, and then the film itself has been super successful. It was a box office hit in Brazil with over 3 million viewers. And on top of that, it even won Best Screenplay at the 2024 Venice Film Festival. So that's got to help Torres' chances at the Oscars, right?
Absolutely. All those accolades definitely contribute to the buzz. It shows that the film is resonating with audiences and with critics, and that always helps during award season.
So to recap, we have a SAG miss, a Golden Globe win, and a critically acclaimed film that's making waves internationally.
It really goes to show you the impact that these awards can have, even beyond the trophies themselves. It's about the recognition, the conversations they start, and how they can shine a light on a film, especially for films that come from other countries.
Yeah, it's not like everyone in Hollywood has seen every movie that's been released around the world. So these awards really help put these films and these actors on everyone's radar.
Exactly. And for someone like Fernanda Torres, who a lot of people in America might not even know, winning a Golden Globe is huge because it means people are still talking about her and talking about Ainda Estou Aqui, even though she didn't get that SAG nomination.
So it really helps her stand out.
Exactly. It's like a little reminder to the Academy voters who might not have seen the film yet.
Okay, so we've talked about the awards and the story of the film, but I want to know more about the film itself. What about the style? What makes Ainda Estou Aqui stand out visually?
Well, it's interesting because the film is beautiful to look at, but it's also very restrained. It shows you how bleak things were in Brazil in the 1970s under the dictatorship. But it doesn't feel over the top. It feels very realistic, and that realism really draws you into Eunice's world.
Yeah, I've heard that about Walter Salles, that he's really good at creating these immersive worlds, and that he doesn't shy away from difficult topics, but he always approaches them with a lot of humanity.
Yeah, you put that perfectly. He's really a master at finding the human story within a larger political or social context. And with this film, he doesn't just show us the brutality of the regime. He also shows us the strength of ordinary people like Eunice.
And he's a great cast. Obviously, Fernanda Torres is amazing. But then there's Selton Mello and the legendary Fernanda Montenegro, who is Torres' mother in real life.
Wow, that adds a whole other level to the film, this idea of legacy and how the past shapes the present. And having Montenegro in the film, I mean, she's an Oscar nominee herself. It brings so much gravitas to the project.
It's like a family affair with incredibly high stakes.
It really is. And then you add the fact that it's a true story. It becomes more than just entertainment. It's a testament to the power of memory and the importance of remembering history.
Yeah, it sounds incredibly moving.
It is. It really reminds you that sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that are based on real life.
So we've talked about how international films often have a harder time at the Oscars, even when they're really good and get a lot of buzz. Why is that? Is it just that people haven't seen them? Or is there something else going on? Yeah, I think you're right. It feels like there's this need to be familiar with the actors in the films, and a lot of times it's easier to connect with films when they're in English.
Right. I think that's definitely part of it. It's not necessarily that the Academy is biased. It's more that they tend to gravitate towards what they know. But I do think the Academy is getting more diverse, and we're seeing more international films getting recognized.
That's good to hear, because at the end of the day, a good performance is a good performance, no matter what language it's in.
Exactly. And Fernanda Torres is definitely getting a lot of buzz for her performance. But we have to be realistic. The Best Actress category is always really competitive. So how do you think she stacks up against the other nominees?
That's the million-dollar question. I mean, we talked about her Golden Globe win and the fact that she missed out on a SAG nomination. So how does that all play into her chances?
Well, I think she has a lot going for her. The critics love her performance. The film deals with some powerful and important themes. And Walter Salles is a really well-respected director. Plus, Ananda Stuaki tackles some really relevant issues. And that's something that Academy voters tend to respond to.
Yeah, and don't forget, Salles has a history with the Oscars. Central Station was nominated for Best Foreign Language Film. And Fernanda Montenegro was nominated for Best Actress.
Wow, that's right. That was Salles' film, too. And Montenegro is Torres' mother in real life. That's really interesting. Maybe that history will give Torres an edge. But the competition is tough. There's Pamela Anderson, who's getting a lot of attention for The Last Showgirl. And then you have Demi Moore, who's making a comeback in The Substance. And Mikey Madison for Anora. Cynthia Erivo is in the running for Wicked. And Carla Sofia Gasson is nominated for Emilia Perez. It's a really strong group of nominees.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
It really is.
But no matter who wins, it's great to see so many talented women being recognized.
You're absolutely right. It really shows you how much cinema is changing and how international films and actors are finally starting to get the attention they deserve.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into Fernanda Torres and her journey to the Oscars. It's clear that she's already made a huge impact with her performance in Ananda Stuaki, and she's definitely someone to watch.
I agree. Her story really shows you the power of storytelling and how it can connect with people all over the world.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, just remember that the awards are only part of the story. The real magic of cinema is in the films themselves, the ones that move us, that challenge us, and that stay with us long after we've seen them.